Siona God, hello all. Oshta afternoon, good afternoon, and Wado, thank you for watching. This is day 34 of Transformation of America, the True Life Story of a CIA Mind Control Slave by Kathy O'Brien with Mark Phillips. And we are finishing up chapter 11 of Kathy's story. The intense pain as he brutally sodomized me was outweighed by a high voltage stun gun as he jolted me repeatedly to create the perverse jerking movements and rectal muscle constrictions he desired. I soon passed out from the blinding high voltage of his stun gun. It was nearly 3 a.m. when I stumbled out the door with the stuffed cat in my hands, nauseated, disoriented, and in extreme pain. The cool ocean breeze helped revive me as Houston marched me back to the Playboy Club. Houston knew I had been programmed with a message for Reagan that I would deliver the next morning in D.C. As usual, he began to access it immediately. His quick timing somehow permitted him to penetrate the electricity and programmed codes designed to keep the information repressed and access the information. Houston kept a written record of any messages he was able to access, along with photos and ledgers for his personal profit and future blackmailing purposes, should he need to protect himself. In this case, I surmised from Houston's Panama activities, conversations I overheard between him and Riley, and my recollection of the messages he accessed, that his purpose in extracting this information was for his personal profit and backdoor dealings with Noriega. I understood it was these kinds of dealings that eventually contributed to Noriega's downfall with the CIA. Morning arrived before I was allowed to sleep, and I felt exhausted and spacey as I waited by the curb for Habib's bodyguards to pick Houston and me up and take us to the airport. A small military airplane was parked in a restricted fenced-in area, and as we arrived at the airport, the two bodyguards conducted their business and quickly loaded the trunk with the bundles of cocaine as planned. Houston and I boarded the airplane and flew to Washington, D.C., where I delivered Habib's message to Reagan. The bank transaction numbers later checked out to be a Cayman Island account number. Philip Habib was directly involved in various DIA/CIA operations I was forced to participate in throughout the Reagan/Bush administration, although Dick Cheney maintained his role as my commander for these operations. Habib directed my actions where international diplomatic relations were concerned. Cheney orchestrated events from behind his desk, whereas Habib was active in the field as Reagan's attaché, A-T-T-A-C-H-E with a little apostrophe up there. The following operations, documented in their entirety from my experience perspective only, most likely involved other aspects to which I am not privy. In typical DIA/CIA manner, scant need-to-know information resulted in the left hand not knowing what the right hand was doing. Nevertheless, the overall criminal purpose of Operation Carrier Pigeon and Operation Shell Game, S-H-E-L-L Game, documented herein does not change. So here are the footnotes. 1. Riley over time owned several slaves. 2. Riley, like my father, Wayne Cox, and others, remains apparently immune from prosecution for his crimes against children and humanity, as it is considered a matter of national security under the 1984 Reagan Amendment to the National Security Act. Number 3, I still have the handwritten note from Loretta that prompted our forbidden conversation, and I hope that someday Loretta will gain the peace, P-I-E-C-E/P-E-A-C-E of mind that comes with rehabilitation. I wonder if she ever did. Number 4, in the course of deprogramming, I found retrieval of this information much quicker than it would have been had Houston not accessed it previously against government policy and for his own personal gain. Chapter 12, Operation Carrier Pigeon. The term pigeon is one with which I have been familiar since the early 1980s when I first began delivering messages between my owner, Senator Byrd, and Puerto Rican drug lord and CIA operative Jose Busto, B-U-S-T-O. Houston had simply explained to me then, as we fed the flock of pigeons roosting at the old San Juan Cathedral, that pigeons were used as messengers. The DIA's U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino often activated my pigeon programming during the hands-on mind control demonstrations. Dick Cheney further defined the term pigeon when I learned of Operation Carrier Pigeon in the mid-80s. He said, "You have been selected from the flock of programmed slaves for the carrier pigeon operation for the purpose of carrying messages from point A to point B as ordered. Pigeons, once they fly the coop, find no freedom in flight, but carry out their task of delivering their message from point A to point B by the shortest possible route, a direct route. I will direct your route, and you will deliver messages as ordered." But no one defined my role as pigeon more eloquently than President Reagan during the course of Operation Carrier Pigeon. The cryptic pigeon language utilized by all participants in the operation was intermixed with Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, and Genie in the Bottle cryptic programming themes. While pigeon meant messenger, carrier pigeon referred to the U.S. Air Force aircraft that actually transported the arms and drugs. Pigeon droppings included the sometimes multinational dispersal of the arms and drugs after they reached their destination. Pigeonholing meant covering up the criminal activity. These definitions, as I understood them then and understand them now, may well include deeper, more diverse meanings than I have perceived. Habib's favorite programming theme was Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass due to its international recognition in relation to the ultra-effective NASA mirror, time, and infinity space programs for instantly dissociating programmed participants. He habitually spoke in Alice in Wonderland cryptic language and even used it for sex, as was evidenced by his Tweedledee and Tweedledum brutal games of perversion. Due to Habib's orchestration of Operation Carrier Pigeon, this CIA covert operation was littered with Wonderland mirror themes from beginning to end. My CIA handler, Alex Houston, had just returned from a brief solo trip to Florida with an elaborately wrapped hoax. It's from a friend of yours, he told me as he handed me the box. Let's go into the bedroom so you can unwrap it and see it through the looking glass. Cryptically triggered, I mechanically walked to the bedroom as ordered. I removed the silver metallic bow and wrappings from the box and found an expensive, elegant dress made of an unusual shimmery silver fabric. A sheet of plain white stationery written in Philip Habib's recognizable shaded blue script lay on top of the dress. It read, "The heat you radiated when we last met melted my mirror. I had it made into a dress for you, cut to accentuate your figure so that when you melt into it, you lose yourself into the pool of liquid mirror. Step into the looking glass, sink deep within its pool, and straddle dimensions in time. I'll see you there, along with my friends." It was signed passionately Phil Habib, with his name written upside down under a line as though it were a mirror reflection. Houston knew there would be a note and ordered, "Let me see your note." Snatching it from my hands, he gestured toward the dress. "Go ahead and try it on while I read this note. Now let's see what does it say. Come to Papa." I took the dress from the box. It did not feel like anything I'd ever felt before. It was cold like satin, but thin like silk. I started crying quietly, afraid that Habib would somehow show up if I had it on. "Put it on and I'll zip you in," Houston said as he took another note from his wallet and read it as I undressed. "There's a pair of magic shoes to wear with your dress, something in lightning, IN-lightning, to transport you faster than the old ruby slippers," and that's relation to Oz. "The shoes, like the dress, are made just for you, and when you wear them, you'll be fit for a king. I'll send them for you at the appropriate time." Houston tucked the note back in his wallet. "See, you're not going anywhere now. You'll meet him at the White House when you have shoes to wear with it. Just slip it on." I did. Houston accessed Habib's Wonderland brutal sex programming for his own gratification. Ugh. Afterwards, I hung the dress in Kelly's closet with my own, jeepers. I hung the dress in Kelly's closet with my other trigger significant clothes out of sight, out of mind, until the shoes arrived. Habib sent the shoes for me soon afterward. They were shiny black with what appeared to be silver lightning bolts down the high heels and sides. In place of dinner that night, Houston gave me a Wonderland wafer, MDMA-XTC, CIA designer drug ecstasy. The wafer, like all those supplied by Habib, bore his trademark that read, "Eat me." I began to prepare for the night out as instructed. Houston zipped me into the dress and turned me to face the mirror. As I slipped into the shoes, Houston took another note from Habib out of his pocket and read, "Something enlightening to transport you faster than old ruby slippers. Click your heels together." I obeyed, and be there in a snap, electrifying with the rumble of thunder bolting through time, so you won't be late for a very important date. Houston hit me with a stun gun and I passed out. He then drove me to Nashville Airport, where I boarded a small plane to Washington, D.C. I found myself at the White House with Byrd attending another small cocktail party of about 20 to 30 people. After we spoke with Reagan, Byrd pointed me in the direction of Philip Habib and sent me over to him. My eyes were locked on Habib's as he hypnotically said, "Melt into your melted mirror for an electrifying ride. Look deep into the black of my melting mirror eyes. See you reflecting me, reflecting you, reflecting me, you, me, until we melt together and sink deep into the other side." All right, we'll stop there. Done to go hang, kiki, we in a good time, till we meet again. Love you, mean it.